Chapter is called Okay. So you've screwed up big time. Now what?
Who did?
This guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the chapters in the book.
Been there,
We're
done that.
live. There's John Lavenia. We're live at the Mastermind.
Oh my goodness.
John Lavenia's Mastermind on Thursday, January 31st, the last day of the year. I'm your host today. Glad to see everybody here. Some familiar faces back on today. Some familiar faces on here as usual. Hi, Kim. Kim's in. Daisy, Carlene, Therese, Adrian, Glenn, who has graced us by beaming in. Sharon, Coral, Mark, Wayno, Star. Oh my God, there's Star. Wow. Awesome. I tell you what, the amperage in here, it's up. It's way up. So my topic for today is, and Mark actually threw the word at me that earlier this week, and it's about adaptability and being adaptive. And what are the things in your life, in your world that cause you to be adaptive, that causes you to react, a change of pace, a change of your life. As some of you know, I've gone through, just in the last 2 weeks, I've gone through some shoulder surgery. I had my shoulder replaced completely. I said on the call a couple of days ago about, you really become appreciative of what it's like to have two arms, two hands, two elbows, two shoulders. You have to relearn your life to some extent. There's a few people on here who've shared their stories, and I'm going to get into those a little bit too. And then I wanted to kind of tee it up to see, what you all do and what happens in your life when all of a sudden something changes unexpectedly and you need to adapt, and how you do that, and what affects that is positive, negative. Is it a struggle? Is it easy? So we're going to get into that a little bit. And at the very end, some of you, before you got on, Glenn and I were chatting. Glenn has posed a question, and I'm going to let him pose it when it's time. We're going to kind of share this call. Glenn's going to pose a question that he had posed on his Facebook, and we hopefully will get some input from everybody, because I think it's going to be a pretty lively topic, as it is the last day of the year. So what I've had to endure, and I don't mean to make this about me, but it's just because it's just my most recent expectations of what's happened from shoulder surgery is, learning basically how to get around, how to get dressed one-handed, how to shower one-handed, how to cook, clean, work here at my desk one-handed. It's easy to type, but there's just some other things where you turn to do something, pick a piece of paper up, answer your telephone, things that are just come naturally, that you turn and try to do, and all of a sudden it's not natural anymore, and you have to think on the fly. It's you can't even tie your shoes with a shoulder replacement surgery, which I hear is, and I've had hip replacement surgery too, which for me, the hip replacement surgery was easy, was kindergarten compared to a shoulder. The hip replacement, depending on the time of the day that they give it, that they administer it, I walked out of the hospital. I had surgery at 7:30 in the morning and walked out of the hospital at 5 o'clock that afternoon with the aid of a walker, which was a Wednesday. And by Sunday, I was walking on my own. I don't think that's an extreme. I think that's, unless there's complications, that sounds to me that's pretty normal. With the shoulder, sleeping, I had to sleep upright on my couch with ensconced in pillows so I wouldn't roll one way or the other for 5 to 6 days. That actually wasn't too bad, because I have a fairly high back couch and wide, I'm tall, so it wasn't too uncomfortable. But the transition to bed was more daunting than you'd expect, because then now you can only sleep on your back and on your one side, and you have to go to bed with this sling, this monstrous, this stupid thing right here. and that thing is attached to you for the evening. So you have to learn, you wake up and you think you've gotten a good night's sleep, but you really haven't. So then you have to adapt to your day and figure out how, you have to kind of work on your energy supply and you're on allocation, so to speak. As I mentioned on the other call, I came up here the Monday after the surgery and wanted to do some work. And within 15 minutes of just sitting here answering emails, I was in a cold sweat and had to, sit on the couch and rest. I fell asleep for an hour and a half to 2 hours. So your body's on repair, and those are the things you don't realize. Adaptation. The world right now is adapting to COVID-19. All of us are adapting in our own way, with our own means. Whether that's you're hunkering down, you're wearing masks, you're doing the things that you believe in and that are right for your life. You can't go out to a restaurant the way you used to. You're perceived differently if by others. It's not. You can't look at somebody. You can smile at somebody, but you can't tell if they know you're smiling or if you smile back. I think that's a struggle. I think that's huge in adapting to looking at people and just seeing their eyes and trying to read their eyes. When you walk down an aisleway and somebody takes it, they want to crawl up on top of the shelf because they don't want to stand next to you. You have to adapt to that. That's different. I don't think any of us have dealt with that. How do you adapt to that? I think you talk about spring fever. I mean, everybody's got it, and it's not getting better, but we adapt to it, right? I want to use an example that John and Shannon had to adapt several months ago when Shannon had to go in for surgery, and a very major surgery and a very major recovery from what I'm understanding. Not only of course she had to adapt, but John had to adapt. Their daughter had to adapt. I'm sure family members had to adapt. They adapted in a way which they probably, which supported them and came in and helped them and did things for them, that they couldn't do. There's just so much going on. We were talking about it the other day, and we'll talked about it this morning. Gail had an accident. She slipped. She hit her head. She broke her shoulder. She's got some back issues. I think she told us this morning, if I heard her correctly. I mean, talk about adapting. She's going to have to adapt, and one of the other things is adapting too is having people help you. Not a lot of us accept help very well. I don't. I want to do it all myself. I'm self-sufficient. I'm a single parent. I live by myself. Other than my daughter has been over here quite a bit and helping me with some things that I can't get to. But you think you're Superman and Superwoman, and you're not. And it takes a lot of suppressing the ego to accept the help, and that's an adaptation in and of itself, I believe. For me, I know. I'm sure it may be for others. I know there's others down here. I mean, Carlene actually has. She had something she needed to adapt to with the loss of a loved one. I can't imagine what that must be like, and that's not rehab. That's not going to the physical therapist, and within 3 weeks to 3 months or a year, it's fixed. That's an ongoing struggle, and probably never ends to some level, some degree. I can't imagine it. When we get on here, I think we talk about our struggles. We talk about what strengthens us. We talk about what weakens us. That in and of itself, for me, again, speaking for myself, helps me adapt, because I hear other stories and other theories and other paths that people have taken to adapt. Adaptation to success, I think, is something that we don't often think about. How do you handle it? Some of us, most of us, may not be. We have successes every day in our life. Okay, let's say that. But the higher levels of success, we might have a product on Amazon, to use an example, and that thing just flies out the door. Our other Adrian had talked a lot about his successes, which were awesome. And if you're not used to that, you're not sure, you're probably not used to how to handle that, how to compartmentalize that, and how to work with that on a daily basis. I think to the same extent that we may adapt to a negative, we have to spin around and adapt to a positive. We're adapting, I think, every minute of the day. You're sitting here and you get a phone call, and it could be a loved one, it could be a boss, it could be a coworker, and whatever's going on in that conversation, by and large, at the end of that conversation, you have to adapt, right? You have to either, you're not doing well enough, so you have to amp it up. You're doing great, and you have to adapt to that in the respect where you don't want to back off. I know sometimes when I have success in sales, there's sometimes, and I think it's human nature, you sit back, you want to glide. I can take my foot off the pedal a little bit. I can tap the brake. It's okay. And that is okay, actually, I think, for me, because you work hard to get to that point, and maybe you do take it in and you relax and take it in and put the energy away for a minute, regroup. But I will say this: some people, and I work with some of those people who have successes and back up too far, too fast, and it's hard to get going again. What I want to do here in this call is I want to hear from everybody about how do you adapt? How do you get over the hump of, and the hump could be a hump of success, it could be a hump of a failure, it could be a challenge, it could be anything. And I think we, like I just said, we have to adapt to everything in our life. You cook dinner, you have to adapt to the fact that you might have burned it. You have to start over, right? Or you undercooked it, or it just doesn't taste good, and you've poisoned half your family, and now they're sick, and now you have to start over. And now, of course, I'm kidding, but there are all these adaptations, and I want to hear. I just came to me, and I was looking at Bill's picture. Bill being in law enforcement. I mean, I can't. He had to. He's anybody in law enforcement has to adapt in a split second, right, and make a decision, and adapt in ways where it may not have to have anything to do with violence. It may just have to do with the situation. It may have to do with coming up on an accident or coming up on somebody who is in need. I think that's a whole different level. I'd love to hear a couple of examples from Bill if he was up to doing that. But I just think our lives are full of adapting. Yes, might be a surgery, could be something to do with your family, have something to do with your work, could be something with your animals. It's everything and anything. I think for the last day of the new year, it's kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to talk about some of the things that you've had to overcome, or that you've had to adapt to over the past year. And I think towards when we're finished with talking about those things that we've had to adapt to, we're going to move over into when we're finished. We're going to go to about we'll see how far we go, but we're going to go to about 9:30 my time, and then I'm going to turn it over to Glen. I'll let you know what Glen's question is for this past year and for the upcoming new year. And with that, I'd like to take anybody with a hand raised to talk about their adaptation experiences. And I see that Carlene has her hand up, and anybody that follows her today, good luck.
No.
Let's hear it. What do you got?
No, I love this, Jaime. This is so perfect. I just wanted to add, because I couldn't finish what I had to say yesterday. So because I'm a bit more calm now, it ties in perfectly with the topic today, because I think what I was trying to get out yesterday is the impact that this community has had on my life. And a big part of that has to do with the adaptation to just changes in general. So when we were kids and we basically reached the age of like school years, we first start off having to adapt to, meeting the expectations that our parents have. And our life becomes a bit of a circus where we're starting to perform We have to perform for parents. We have to perform for teachers. Without even realizing it, it goes from being a carefree child to now having to please people, having to meet expectations. And it soon, without realizing it, you're no longer living for yourself. You're living for your school because you want to make the grades and make your school, top in the area, whatever it is in the catchment. And then you start, you get into the workforce, and now you're starting to please your boss. You have to start pleasing the people, your superiors. You have to meet targets. And after a while, it's all about the pressure to perform, the pressure to be someone, to do things that sometimes you don't necessarily want to do, but all of a sudden, that's where your life starts going, and that's the trajectory for your life. So this year, when everything came to a screeching halt with the pandemic, it gave many people, and I can only speak for myself, it gave me the time to reflect. Time that we never had, time I never had before, because everything was go, 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 go. And when you have a child and you're trying to raise a family and you're trying to, you climb the corporate ladder, as I was doing, you're there trying to hit targets, you're making millions for your companies, and all of a sudden, it's no longer about you. So when I stopped and then I got to meet John and started to be on the calls with John, it was like one of those times where someone was speaking to me, not at me, not telling me, you have to hit target. Where's the figures for this month? We got a quarter coming up. The voice I was hearing for the first time I can't even remember, I think ever, was saying to me, make a spectacle of yourself. You can be amazing. You are awesome. You can do these things. And let me tell you how, I couldn't even get those words out yesterday, because you don't even realize that for your whole life, you're holding your breath. You're actually holding your breath, and then you can exhale. And the feeling of not even realizing that you've pent up all these emotions, you've pent up all these things. And that is the scariest thing about it, that if it wasn't for this year, I would have never known. I would have been none the wiser. I would have carried on and not be able to understand what had happened, because after a while you just literally become this zombie of a person, this shell of a person, thinking that you're actually being productive, thinking that you're doing things the way it's supposed to be done, you're in control. You're not in control. You didn't even realize you're not even in control. So when John had those daily success calls, it started to become, it was life-changing. And Mark used that word. When Mark said it was transformation, it is an understatement. Transformation is an understatement, and I can only speak for me, because John opened a portal to a world and a realm I never knew existed. And funny enough, the things John has said, we've heard it before. I've heard them before. I've heard people say those things before. So why is it that it resonated now? I don't understand, and I can't explain it. It resonated in a way that it's never resonated before with me. Therefore, it made me realize that how many more people are out there stuck in this loop where they need to stop and realize that you are the source, you are the creator, and you have permission to be amazing. Because no one gave me permission before. It was always do it for someone else. Do it for your parents, do it for your teachers, do it for God, do it for everyone except you. It's everyone except you. And I never got that permission to talk, because every time it's like you talk too much, or it's always a negative. And whenever you try to do a little bit of something for yourself, you start being labeled as a rebel. Oh, you're a bit rebellious. How is wanting to do things for yourself rebelling? Why do they use this connotation to put a negative feeling towards you wanting to have something for yourself, or do something for yourself, or feel something for yourself. And after a while, when you get stuck in the life and with work and relationships and all those things, you stop living for you. So I know that now I'm happy at this point I was able to see that, because sometimes we get to the end of our life and then we look back. But it's never too late. We're never too old. We're never too young to understand and to appreciate and to see the importance in making that change, Jamie, as you're saying, how do we adapt? And I'm adapting to now being able to do things for me. I'm adapting to being able to be, as John says, make a spectacle of myself, be the best version of myself. And now it's actually made me even more aware of things I would have done before, like things that would normally get to me. They don't get to me that much. When I see people, and I even see injustice, the way injustice used to get to me before, I'd lose sleep at night. No, I don't, because I'm aware that some things I can't change, but you can still be the best version of yourself despite the chaos in the world, despite the fact that maybe, things are just basically going to hell in a handbasket, but there's so much good still in the world. And if we focus on that, we can amplify that. For everyone that's negative, I can be positive. I can still be aware of things that has happened, still speak on it, address it, but I'm not absorbing it the way I used to absorb it. I'm observing it. It's not being absorbed the way it used to sink into my soul and into my bones, not anymore, because John gave me that permission to see and feel and understand, but be able to still resonate with what it is that makes us human and what it is that makes us amazing. So I appreciate everyone. I didn't get a chance, but I want to tell everyone, thank you so much, because you two are an integral part of this change and me changing and adapting. Every single one of you, even those who are not on the call today, but who have been part of my journey for this year. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year, guys.
Wow. I don't want to put anybody on the spot here, but John or Carlene least of all, but you got to host a meeting. Yeah. Guest spot or something. I don't know. I like I said, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but you've got a lot to say, girl. Love it. Really do. I could sit here and listen to you all day. Gail is next. Gail.
Hi. I didn't realize that you had a shoulder replacement until you just mentioned now. I know some people yesterday were wishing you well, but I didn't know what for. So I wish you well too, because your pain must be worse than mine if you had a whole replacement. And you do have to adapt. I know I broke my other shoulder in 2 places many years ago, and I was in college and I wanted to leave because of that. I was right-handed and I didn't think I'd be able to manage. And they said, well, if you do, you don't get a refund and you have to start all over again. So the only thing they did was give me an extra half hour on test times. So I had to learn to write with my left hand and do all of that. And I was able to do it. And in my work life, you're always adapting. You have to be able to adapt. Things come up. People can't come into work. You've got to find replacements. And if you can't, then what are you going to do with all the kids in their classes? And you're just constantly adapting throughout the day. There are people I know who are very structured and they can't deal with change, and that makes their life very difficult. I think if you're a person who can quickly change and adapt to the situation, it's much better for you. I know when I lost my husband in 2003, a funny story. After I got through all the grief and everything in the beginning, summer was coming and the grass started to grow. And we had 2 acres of land that our house was on. And we had an old ride-on mower that my husband always cut the grass. I'd never cut grass in my life before. And I thought, gee whiz, I'm going to have to learn how to do that. So I asked my neighbor down the road if he would teach me. And he came up and he showed me what to do. And I got started and I was jerking and everything. Finally, I was able to go backwards and forwards. And all of a sudden, there was a square concrete block in the earth that was overgrown with the grass, and I didn't see it. And I went over that. The whole machine made such a noise with the blades hitting the concrete. and I felt like it was going, the mower was going to tip on top of me. And it has one of those things where you take your feet off and it stops, but I didn't know that. And I started to cry. I was so scared. And my neighbor is laughing. And he says, do you want me to do it? And I said, absolutely not. I have to learn to do it. And so I did. And I'd never, ever mowed a lawn in my life. So, you know, you have to adapt. And also getting back to being able to let other people help you. That's a really hard thing for me to learn. You know, I'm always willing to help others, but to have them help me, and my daughter right now, she is so good. Yesterday was the first time I was able to shower, but she's been bathing me, cooking for me, dressing for me, doing everything and not complaining. And she's just amazing. And I am so, so blessed. That's my bit. But thank you for bringing for this subject. It was really, really good.
Yeah, well, I think you and I both, with shoulders and heads and backs and some others here too, probably it's tough. And that whole asking for help thing, you know, I think it's to blow to your ego. You feel like you're helpless and you're vulnerable. I think that's a big word. You don't want the vulnerability that puts out to others. You don't want, that's your ego talking. That's completely your ego. I'm like you. I love helping people and I want to do things for others. But the minute I have to have somebody help me, I'm you know, it's this. And it's funny, my daughter's 16 and she's hanging around, and there's only a couple things I need help with that I'm sure there's more, but there's only a couple that I think I need help with. And I'm watching her and I look at her face and I give her grief and I look at her, I go, why do you look so disgusted? You're helping your father. Don't you love me? And it's a heavy guilt trip on her, just kidding around with her. So anyway, that's good stuff. Thanks, Gail. We have Star up next, and then Wayne, Professor Wayne, and anybody else that wants to jump in here. After that, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Lovely to see your beautiful faces. And I didn't realize that we had this thing on Monday with the gift thanking. I was waiting for like a notification. So, Elvie, have you got something to say here to everybody?
Yes, thank you so much for the Christmas presents, everybody.
It was so lovely. The Secret Santa was such a big success. Thank you so much, Ivier, for putting that together. I mean, I can't even imagine how the internationalness of it worked. You must, but just, I think it was such a beautiful thing. And Carlene and I have swapped photographs on the day, and Toyin, we spoke yesterday. So we've spoken individually with the people who did give us the gifts, but it was just so lovely. So thank you, everybody. Right, you can go now. Okay. But yeah, adaptability. Oh, honestly, Gail and Jamie, with your recoverings at the moment, and obviously Jamie, yours was planned, but Gail's was not, and
right,
you know, a very different type of adaptability there. And I know, you know, I broke my foot back in the summer, so I know exactly how the unexpected adaptability of an injury to the body is really full on, you know. So happy healing to both of you. But I think for me, the adaptability, it's been constant over this last year, more so than normal, and more bigger things. And I don't think I would have gotten through a lot of it without each and every one of you, and especially to John for creating this space for us all to be here, and to being a great personal friend as well, that I've really lent upon at the right times. And yeah, it's ongoing here for us. I mean, I don't want to bring things down, but it's all, our school's opening, our school's not opening. It's COVID related, obviously, and also Brexit. You know, we've got so much bollocks to deal with right now over here. And yeah, it's, to be honest, I'm following Elvie on how she feels in terms of the school thing. Because for me to try to adapt to every different thing, I'm like, what do you want to do? How do you feel safe? How do you feel comfortable moving forwards in this situation? And what Elvie says goes, you know, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm adapting to Elvie's philosophy on this, and her philosophy, just so you all know, is because where we are, we've been asked to go back to school on Monday, whereas we're surrounded by areas that have had it postponed by a further week to allow for Christmas mixing to be seen in the statistics. So Elvie's decided that she wants to wait another week and just to see how the statistics pan out and see what the safety levels are like in our area, which I think is a very sensible scientific way of looking at it. So yeah, but it has been giving me some anxiety over the last sort of week, really. Just not feeling like I know what to do. It's like I said, adapting day to day, but adapting to situations that are completely out of your control. But yeah, we've also been doing a lot of looking forward to the new year, and we've been making our vision boards and doing nice things like that and making nice food. And yeah, so it's just been a bit of a weird week for everybody, I'm sure. But yeah, lovely to be here with you all and just being part of this community. I know I haven't been here every day, but it is part of my soul now, part of my soul. And yeah, much love to you all. Happy New Year.
Glad to have you back. And I want to add one thing about adaptability. I don't think it's any right or wrong about it. What fits our life. What in your opinion is the right adaptation? I know it's, you know, it's not right or wrong. It's at varying levels of varying degree. So glad you're good to see you again.
Thank you, Jamie.
Good to see you. Happy New Year. Professor Wayne is up. Let's hear it. And then we've got Sandy and Therese. Go ahead, Wayne. Tee it up.
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, wow. Yeah, really cool topic. Thanks, Jamie. And it's I'm glad to be able to be part of that conversation today. There's a few things I wrote down that I was just thinking of when you were speaking of adaptability. I guess we could say top of the animal kingdom in a sense. In a lot of ways is just biologically, naturally, the human's ability to adapt to their situation and survive in so many different situations. There's not that many species actually that live as vastly as the human species from pole to pole, through climate zones, through types of environment, with different types of food sources, with the ability to grow their own food, etc. And that all has to do with our species' ability to adapt. The interesting thing is, though, from an emotional point of view or an intelligence point of view, adaptability is sometimes a little bit limited, it seems, when we see how people behave. But a thought that came to mind is, number one, for adaptability, the ability to learn. And we think about artificial intelligence and machine learning that humans are trying to build into machinery to make it smarter, to make it more able to adapt to specific situations, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it's in scientific research, etc. So we're actually taking the principles of our own abilities and trying to translate those into machinery. The other piece is flexibility versus rigidity, the ability to flex in a situation. So when I think of an aviation example, an airplane that encounters turbulence, if it had completely rigid wings, would be in trouble, because rigidity causes things to break. Flexibility allows them to ride through a situation. So the flex that's designed into an airplane wing is there to allow the airplane to get through situations of turbulence and rough air. The ability to adjust was something else that kind of came into the adaptability piece of being able to make fine tweaks. And we know that when we adjust something, adjustment doesn't mean major changes. Usually adjustment just means a slight change in order to adapt to an environment. And I thought another piece that then comes with it, and this is a big piece that plays into the human emotional side of things, as far as adaptability, is actually willingness versus stubbornness, and just being willing to be flexible, willing to change, and so on. So there's a, I'm not sure you call it a phrase or whatever, but basically a premise that the part of the system with the greatest flexibility in its behavior will always control the system. And so when we think of that from a human point of view, that's flexibility in thought, feeling, language, and our behavior. We've seen a lot of that this year, and you know, learning with the lawnmower example, and you know, I think a lot of us has learned so much this year, just being part of this group, and from John and from each other, and so that allows us to adapt in many situations. We're adapt from it, but
Well, we lost him. I felt like he was the invisible man there. He was fading and fading and fading and fading. Wayne, if you can hear us, we lost you. You were kind of, we can't hear you now and we can't see you. So I don't know if you can hear us, but I've got Sandy's up next, and then Therese. And then if you get back to us, Wayne, jump back in by all means. Sandy.
Hi, Jamie. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jamie. You always inspire something in me. I never quite can identify it, but thank you. I always like hearing from you.
Thank you.
As I've been waiting, I've become a little bit emotional, and I'm not sure that I have anything of real consequence to say or to add. As I've said before, I've been an emergency room nurse most of my life, and I've seen shit, and I've had my hands in places that nobody wants to put their hands. But I've also been a city girl all my life. And 2 years ago, I moved to the country to manage a small farm and animals. And I feel like everyone else, we've all had traumas in our life, and I'm pretty good. I'm a psych and addiction medicine major now. That's the field I work in. And I manage traumas and things like that pretty well. I take care of them and then I let them go. And this past year was one of the worst traumas. And others may not be able to relate to it, because I think Stuart could, but it's regarding one of my goats. I had gotten a young goat the end of last year, and she had already been bred, and that was my intent, was to have little ones. And so when the time came, she was in labor for almost 5 days, and I was in constant contact with my animal vet, and I was with her pretty much day and night. And it was her first kidding, actually, and was going to be my first birth on the farm. And I knew something wasn't right. And finally, when I got the vet out here, she discovered that the baby was breech, and these goats can't deliver that way. And so she whipped her off to the hospital and did a C-section, and the baby was dead and had been dead for a while. That was probably, and I know people can't necessarily relate to it, but it was probably one of the most, I didn't know this was going to happen. It was probably one of the most traumatic events, and it's been with me all year. And adapting to it has been a challenge for me. I've come to the realization now that with other people, other farmers helping me out, that on a farm, things live and things die. And since then, I've had some chickens die and gotten new ones and all that good stuff. That was very difficult. But I think that adapting to this kind of life has been a huge situation in my life, having been, like I said, a city girl all my life. And now I can drive a tractor. Now I can pull bale hays and carry 50-pound bags of food. And I'm actually very fit anyway, but I can do this kind of work, and I can do it in the rain, and I can do it in the cold. And I feel like I've come to a really great place in my life where I can adapt to probably anything. Along with this e-commerce business, never done such a thing in my life. It just, like, how weird is that? And this group has been instrumental in allowing me to develop myself and my skills and my adaptation to situations. And I'm truly, from my heart, grateful. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy. Thanks for sharing that. We're all here for you. We all can hear that emotion, and sorry to hear that, but we love you. We're here for you.
Thank you.
Always. Happy New Year.
You too.
We have Therese's next, and then I'm going to turn it over to Professor Glen to wrap up the 2020 and a question that might be burning for everybody. And Therese, let's hear it.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Sandy, I'm so sorry to hear that, and I feel your pain. I lived on a farm for probably the first 6 years of my marriage. We were out in the country, and it was one of the most memorable, touching, transformative times of my life. And it's like that moment when you really get to be a part of life and death every single day, from the garden to the animals. I don't know, it's a really precious time. And I think it made me a better person for sure. Wow, talk about transformative year, and adaptability. Jaime, that's great. Just a great topic. I feel like when I look back, if I was to go over the years, I feel like it's always been a little bit about adaptability for me. And I don't know if that's just because I'm a curious individual or what, or I like to throw myself off cliffs and see what happens. But I've always been able to adapt and survive and learn. And I think the key thing that stands out for me is the ability to learn and the ability to face fears and keep going. And I suppose there's always uncertainty. I think at some point as human beings, we want some sort of certainty. So I think maybe we're kind of always looking for like this stability and this certainty. But the reality is it's just always changing. The ground is always shifting. The seasons are always changing, right? The branch that's out my window right now looked very different yesterday than it does today. And it's going to look really different come February. And then spring, it's going to look different again. So, I mean, you've all heard me speak before, but I always look to nature to help me cope with and move through the uncertainties and the profound changes. And it gives me some faith that things are going to be okay. And this year, again, bigger than I can imagine in terms of adaptability. And I'm really grateful for it because I would have not ever found this group. And yeah, I just thank you so much for being a part of my learning and growing and changing this year. So Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Therese. Yep, we're all I think grateful and feel empowered by being part of this group. I know I do, and I feel somewhat empty when I can't get on here. So 2021 for me is also going to be about consistency. So especially as far as this group's concerned. So no more hands up. So that means what we're going to do here is Glen was talking, excuse me, earlier this morning before we went live about a question for 2020, maybe also for 2021 that he would like to pose. And I'd love to get some feedback if we have any on that. And so that said, Mr. Henderson, you have the floor.
Thanks, Jamie. What, you know, you knew the Star Trek reference was coming, didn't you? The logical one himself, Mr. Spock, once said, change is the essential element of all existence. So expecting things to stay the same and expecting that we will not need to improvise and adapt, I'm not sure which quadrant of the galaxy that works in, but probably not this one. Anyway, I was loving hearing how everyone is adapting, how everyone is making their life work regardless of the circumstances, which is very, very cool. Okay, the question. Time for everybody to put on our imagination hats, our dreaming hats. Ready? Here's the question. And I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised that Jamie had asked me to share this. Here's the question. So it's the last day of 2021. What's on your mind? No, that was not a typo. Say it again. I'll ask again. It's the last day of 2021. What's on your mind? And really, I don't have a lot of elaboration to go behind that because I want to hear, you know, somebody just said goals for 2021. That's interesting. Let's think of it this way. You know that one of the topics that we're going to get to in our book study of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I don't think I'm giving anything away to say this, one of the topics is, one of the habits is to begin with the end in mind. So I'm going to ask, what I'm asking is, put your binoculars up to your eyes and look at December 31st, 2021. What do you see? Hands up. That's it. I got nothing else to say about this. I want to hear from you.
A tropical beach.
Hands up. You can raise your hands. I'll pick on you. Just go ahead and raise your hands and I'll get an order going.
Go for it.
Star.
Let's have some fun. Star, go.
Go ahead, Star.
Tropical beach. Tropical beach. I want all of COVID to be gone, and Elvie and I, and potentially Nikki and Georgie as well, are going to be somewhere in luxury, all-inclusive, tropical Christmas holiday.
That's fabulous. I love it. May I offer one suggestion? You want to make this way, way more real?
Yeah.
Give yourself a far, far better opportunity to actually make this happen. You know that our subconscious minds cannot think of the future. Our subconscious minds cannot think in terms of the future. How do I know this? If ever had a dream, remember any dream you had? In that dream, were you in the future? Were you thinking about what was going to happen, or were you experiencing it right now? So you are on a tropical beach. China virus, COVID is gone.
Yes.
You are enjoying a fabulous holiday with friends and mastermind team. You see what I'm saying? So somebody talk to me. It's the last day of 21. What
Olivier's next.
See?
Let's hear it, Olivier.
Well, I've pretty much set some goals, and I can tell you now, my upper body is exactly what I picture it to be. I'm fit, all round. That mental image that I had when the year started, I've achieved that, and so I'm going yes in the mirror. I have moved house, so I have a lot more space. I have set up my office space, and so I have room to do my business because I'm working from home more. It's become my new normal because I'm already talking to my employers, and so I know that's going to be reality for me. And so with my underlying whatever, working from home is my new norm. I only go in when I have to. So I have a proper dedicated space, and it will be a different backdrop to this. So it's all set up. I've pictured it. I picked out the furniture. Everything's done. I know what's going to be in the back. So you will just have to wait to see that unveiled. But I already know what my backdrop is going to be. You know, I've set everything up. So I'm shopping every month. I've got something on the list that I'm going to be buying in preparation for that. So it's all planned out. The color scheme, everything's done. My business is going to be at a certain level because that's what's going to fund the move. And so I have a timeline. So by August 2021, that's done. It's going to be my birthday present in September. So come December 31st, I will be celebrating with a glass of my favorite tipple in my new space. And I will probably give you a virtual, you know, tour of the space. Yeah, I'm there. I can see it. I can taste it. I can feel it. In fact, I've so outgrown this space that every day I wake up to my current space, I'm like, what am I still doing here? Because I can see where I should be and where I want to be. So it's a reality. It just has to manifest. It's real.
And of course, it's more comfortable because you've made far more.
Absolutely.
You've made far more room for shoes.
Yes, exactly. You know, Glenn. Yeah. So I don't have to cover it all up. Yeah.
We might have to nickname you Imelda. Ingrid has her hand up. Let's see. I'd love to hear what Ingrid's got to say on this topic. Go ahead, please. Love to hear it.
How are we all?
Hi.
So after that, we've had our great meeting, because I think we're definitely meeting this year, right? So I'm sitting back thinking about what a great time it was meeting so many of us in person just before Christmas. And I'm happy because I'm a team manager in my business that is not the orchestra. And I've helped a ton of humans. I've helped a ton of horses. And I love my new violin. And yeah, life is great.
Excellent. Can't wait to hear you playing that fabulous new violin.
That's right. You're going to be playing it at the meeting. You'll be playing that at the meeting. I'm going to remember that. You're going to be our headliner.
Good. I'm up for that.
Okay. I wanted to jump in here real quick and tell you where I am at the end of 2021 as I have fired my employer and I'm working for myself. And
nice.
Yeah, that's where I'll be. That's where I see myself. That's where that's all I see every day. That's what I'll see every day for 2021. And that's my vision. I sit squarely in the middle of that. So
outstanding.
Yep.
Outstanding.
I don't, anybody else want to weigh in here? I saw, Cyril, you had your hand up right before I turned it over to Glenn. If you want to jump in and we don't have, if you had comments on my subject, anybody else had want to talk about my subject or Glenn's question, jump in. We can do both. We've got about 7-8 minutes left. Bill's got his hand up. Let's hear from the style dog, Bill. Let's go.
Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for your topic today. It was very good, as ever, eloquently presented by yourself, whether you're one wing down or not. First off, I'd just like to say a big thanks to those of you who know who you are for the past few days. I'm not going to get into anything else other than to say thank you very much. It meant a lot. Secondly, I'd be interested, Jamie, you'll have to message me or I'll message you, because I wouldn't want to upset too many people telling them too many stories from my past. There might be more trauma on the wards for Sandy to have to look after, so there may be. But yeah, there's plenty I could tell you about decision making in an instant. Some right, some not so right. But given that today is officially our last day of the Christian calendar, despite that, I think it's Egypt, they're coming up on year 62 this September, which is pretty awesome compared to 2021. But I just thought I'd leave you with a small story of Millennium Night duty. 1999. 31st of December. Belfast was just sort of coming out of all the crap times. People were starting to realize that there is a life out there and people can enjoy themselves. And obviously it's a busy time of the year, let's just say. But my colleague and I, whom I was speaking to the other day, kindly, were on patrol down in Belfast, and we mingled our way through the crowds in the vehicle, and then decided to park up by the riverside, and thought, well, we'll just chill out here for a minute and see what's happening. And of course, as is traditional on such nights or such events, your control team from Belfast Regional Control come on and give you the countdown to the new year, the standard 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they wish everybody a happy new year. And that happened. And I turned to my colleague and I says, Happy New Year, Ian. And he turned to me and went, oh yeah, it's great. 1999, coming into 2000, and we're on effing uniform duty, sitting here amongst all these revelers. At which point I reached into the back of the vehicle, into my kit bag, and pulled out a bottle of Bollinger champagne and 2 champagne glasses. And he just looked at me gobsmacked. And I said, Ian, it only comes around once every 1,000 years, and I'll be damned if I'm missing it. That's my story.
Nice.
That's awesome. That is great.
But the Laughing Irishman never fails to thrill.
Right?
Happy New Year, Bill.
Happy
Is
New Year,
that
Bill.
Cyril?
Cyril's hand.
Hi.
Can you see hands up on this, Glenn, too, as well?
I can
Yeah,
see
hi,
hands
guys.
next to the pictures now. I can. Yeah, go ahead, please,
Okay,
Cyril.
go ahead.
Please go forward.
Go, Cyril.
Hi, everybody. Bill, I love that. I'm glad you celebrated that. It's yeah, it would have been a shame to miss it. It's funny actually because I didn't think I've never felt that great at change really, because I get, as an adult, I get quite stuck. But because I've been trying to put together the elements of a book about my childhood, I went through and on my review of the elements of the story, I realized there was so much change in it. And as a child, you have no control over what's happening. And I couldn't believe the number of changes that happened one after the other. And as a child, you just carry on through it. You have to just deal with it as it happens, because you have no choice really, because it just happens around you and you get on with it. But as an adult, it can take me a long time to change, to find the new direction. I tend to get into a procrastination mode where, and part of it is because I don't know where to go. Part of it is being kind of stuck. Sometimes I know where I want to go, but it's not always easy to find the elements that actually make that story come together, so to speak. For example, how I found Blue Sky was because years before I'd already made the decision in my mind that I wanted to work for myself again and have an online business. And when I saw the ad, I thought I saw Sophie online, and I saw how, and she just seemed to be reasonably trustworthy, because most of them don't seem that trustworthy to me. So, but still, as an adult, I still find it quite difficult change. As much as I like changing direction when it comes, I never find it. I don't always find it that easy. So, sorry, I just wanted to add that. I just change as a child was just so you just walk through it because you have no choice. Change as an adult, I find a far different thing. Anyway, thank you. Great, it's a great talk, and happy New Year, everybody. I've loved being with you guys, and you've helped me a great deal, more than even I often have trouble understanding sometimes what I feel about the situation, and it takes me a while afterwards before I realize. So, so on that basis, thank you so much for being part of my life, everybody, and I wish you all the happiest and best of the new year to come, and I wish you all that you wish yourselves. Thank you.
And thank you, Cyril, for being part of our lives, and Happy New Year to you. And to all of us. I keep thinking that this coming year, 2021, will be exactly what I decide it's going to be. 2021 will be exactly what I choose it to be. Here's a fun exercise for us to take into our revelry this evening. Grab a notebook, or at least a blank sheet of paper, and write down what you see. December 31st, New Year's Eve 2021. What do you see? What's changed? What have you done? What have you accomplished? What have you let go that wasn't serving you? What have you chosen and embraced that has accelerated your journey? And how excited are you about those things that you've accomplished, that increase in your business, that promotion on the job, that new place, that improved relationship, that the increase in all of your life? Now, how does that feel? What two emotions are you going to feel? What two emotions do you feel having accomplished so much in 2021? Having gotten so much done, having changed your life so much for the better. Now, the question, why on earth would you deny yourself those feelings? Why on earth would you deny yourself that celebration? So let's get started. Happy New Year to all of us. Thank you so much for being with us. And once again, and as always, our friend, our fearless leader, the machine, the Godzilla himself, John Lavenia, thank you so much. I know he's...
I think we have a couple days of recognition to catch up on. Just make sure anybody who didn't get mentioned.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you so much to John and to all of us for choosing to be part of this family. Jamie?
Yes.
Thank you for sharing a little time with me. Your show.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. I asked everybody all to unmute because I wanted everybody to be able to have an open mic, and I want to wish everybody a happy new year and a prosperous new year and a great, safe night tonight, however you decide to celebrate it. And we're at the top of the hour, 2 minutes over. We'll see you tomorrow, huh? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New
Bye,
Year.
everybody.
New Year, everyone.